All right, so you've heard the rumors. Dallas equals opportunity, right? The lower cost of living and that Texas lifestyle where the tacos slap and the patios, they got ceiling fans powerful enough to land a plane. But here's what no one tells you on TikTok, guys. There's some massive rookie mistakes that people make on the regular when they try to move here, and they really don't realize it until their wallet starts screaming bloody murder. So today, I'm breaking down the 10 biggest Dallas moving mistakes from choosing the wrong suburb just because you love the brunch spot, right? Buying into the wrong community or wildly underestimating the commute times. And listen, guys, that number one mistake, I see every single transplant make it, and it's the one that almost nobody sees coming. All right, so quick reminder, guys, when people say Dallas, they usually mean the DFW Metroplex as a whole, which is, for lack of a better term, enormous, guys, right? Different suburbs equal different lifestyles, different commutes, different vibes after dark. Look, if you pick a neighborhood based on how cute the coffee shop was you saw on Instagram, congrats, you just married a latte and not a lifestyle. So check it, let's hop into the rookie mistakes and turn you into an all-pro before the end of this video. So Google Maps at 11 p.m. says 18 minutes, but Dallas at 7:45 says, bless your heart. Listen, you always want to test drive your commute at rush hour. Bonus points if you do it in the rain, and extra credit if there's a wreck on 635. Newsflash, there always is. Look, the property tax bomb is the headline act. Listen, this is a daily migraine that folks love to underestimate when they move here. And that's just Dallas traffic, guys. Yes, the roads are widening, and no, that doesn't mean your commute is shrinking though. We're now the 17th most jammed city in the country, which means the average driver, they donate about 38 hours a year in the car. That's an entire work week to the noble art of sitting still in a car. If you're not at least binging audiobooks, you're burning daylight and gas while memorizing the backside of a pickup truck. That 15-minute hop across town, yeah, that's cute, but in real life, it can morph into 30, 45, even 60 minutes, which is exactly why so many people sail way too soon after they arrive. Because look, they never actually tested the commute they swore wasn't that bad. And before I forget, guys, if this is your first time to the channel, I'm Mark with the Dallas Relocation Guide, and we help people buy, sell, and relocate right here to the Dallas Metroplex. Check it, nobody's out here giving you visuals and being boots on the ground, giving you the best insights about moving to the Dallas Metroplex. So if you're thinking about making the move, guys, feel free to reach out. All of our contact info's down in the description below and pinned to the top of the chat. Now listen, I don't want you comparing Los Angeles or Atlanta traffic or hell, even Houston traffic to Dallas, right? Now those are different animals entirely, but the roads are not wide open at all times of the day here. But here's the Dallas plot twist, right? Your drive time lives and dies by your zip code. Look, you can post up in 75247 and you could be staring at nearly an hour each way, guys. If you slide over to 75205 and suddenly downtown is a breezy 20 minutes away. Look, that can add up to be over an hour a day back into your lifestyle, which really adds up to, well, time you could spend doing literally anything else. And that's something that happens constantly, right? People visit on a weekend, they cruise around while traffic is taking a nap, and they go and see things and they think, yeah, this is easy. And then Monday smacks them with reality. Look, Prosper or Frisco might sound like no big deal on a Saturday, but come rush hour, that 30-minute commute stretches to 45 to 60 minutes while you practice deep breathing. Woo-sa. But I'm gonna give you the cure to it all, guys. Test your routine in the actual battle conditions. If you're scouting neighborhoods, stay through Monday and run the route during the peak hours. And yes, Google Maps is great until a fender bender happens, a lane closure, or even surprise construction turns your ETA into a fan fiction. Listen, you gotta plan like a local and not a tourist, and your future self will salute you all the way from the HOV lane. Listen, Texas loves acronyms, and these three, they show up right when you've already picked the moving date and mentally placed your sectional. Now, they're not all villains, but they're real line items that can nudge your payment north if you don't plan for them. Check it out, a PID is what we call a public improvement district, right? It's basically the neighborhood glow-up fund. We're talking about the entrances, the trails, all the pretty landscaping that your wife has fell in love with. Yeah, somebody's got to pay for that. And it usually appears as a separate assessment on your tax bill, right? Another one is called a MUD, which is a municipal utility district, and that helps newer communities pay for the water, the sewer, and the roads, guys. It often starts higher, but it can taper as the bonds get paid down over time. And what about the HOA, right? That's the pool, that's the parks, the vibe that has people from all over calling us 10 times a day. Plus, they create the rules that keep your neighbor from turning their lawn into a parking lot. These are going to be collected as either monthly or quarterly dues, sometimes with transfer or resale fees at the closing table. But here's the trap, right? Those Zillow and Realtor.com calculators rarely factor these in. So the, wow, this payment looks really great moment can turn into a, wait, why is this escrow higher when the assessments and dues are added for real? But again, Here's the answer, right? The fix is really simple. Treat these like a part of the price tag and not an afterthought. Look, just factor all this in before you get all gung-ho on a property. Listen, the same $500K home in 2 different neighborhoods can mean 2 very different all-in costs. And I'd rather you discover that on paper than with a surprise bill after you move in. All right, now this is the trapdoor that most relocators fall through, smiling ear to ear. Look, the #1 mistake when moving to Dallas is not understanding how the property taxes work on new construction homes. Let me repeat that for you guys in the back. Not understanding how the property taxes work on new construction homes. I know all of you want that new, so I'm about to break this down for you. Listen, 90% of our clients buy new construction, so it's our job to educate you on these things, right? I want you to think of it as a money bomb with a 12-month fuse on it. Everybody's smiling at the closing table. They sipping the lemonade, you're spending furniture money in your mind. All the while, the timer quietly ticks in the background. And then here's that, ain't that something moment, right? In year 1, your property taxes are usually only assessed on the land value alone, not the actual house you just fell in love with, right? So you glance at the closing statement and think, whoa, only $2,000 a year. That's freaking awesome. I thought Texas was different, but it's really not. And you'd be right in that moment, just not the way that you would hope. Because when year 2 shows up like a surprise party that you didn't RSVP to, when the county reassesses the full value, the house plus the land, and then suddenly your escrow jumps, right? Your monthly payments is spiking and you're wondering who switched the numbers while you were out buying patio furniture. And listen, sure, Texas, we bumped the homestead exemption to $140,000. I ain't complaining, we do love the coupon. And that's definitely gonna help you save on some coin. Look, the move to Dallas can be a glow up, absolutely, but only if you know the math behind all the magic. So look, here's my recipe for not getting played by the tax man, okay? So #1, you gotta budget for year 2 like a grown-up, okay? Listen, if the builder estimate feels suspiciously low, it probably is, right? You wanna plan for taxes on the house plus the land and not just the land. #2, file your homestead exemption as soon as you're eligible, guys. It's generally after you occupy your property as a primary residence. You can check all the timing rules. They should be on the county appraisal district website. It won't fix everything at the moment, but it definitely helps. And #3, you want to ask the community's real tax rate range before you sign on the dotted line, right? Master plan amenities are lovely and they also have receipts. And that brings us into #4, build an escrow cushion, right? Future you will send past you a thank you text for being so generous and thinking of them. All right, since we're already talking about things taking forever, let's wade into the next wallet killer I'm seeing all over Dallas real estate. And yes, it's costing people tens of thousands, especially folks rolling in from out of state with HGTV optimism. Listen, the market here is not that 2021 fever dream anymore, right? In the last couple of years, the market has definitely flipped over here. I think right now we're somewhere around 66% of homes are selling below asking price, while the inventory is beefing up. It's at as fat as it's been in 2 decades. Translation, this isn't that blink and it's sold for 100K over asking circus anymore. Yet I keep hearing this same plan, right? We're gonna buy, we'll sit for a year or 2, and then we'll flip for a big win. Listen, I love the confidence, I truly do, but unfortunately, that ship has sailed and I'm trying to save you from a sea of regret. Listen, selling costs here typically run 6 to 10% once you add in the agent commissions, the closing costs, and all those delightful surprises a house throws at you. Look, on a $500,000 place, that's $30,000 to $50,000 just to exit the chat. And with today's data, guys, prices simply aren't rising fast enough for a quick hold to cover those closing costs. You're gonna need patience in this market. You gotta be thinking 3 to 5 years, and even then, in a lot of neighborhoods, you're basically flirting with breaking even while your equity wakes up and stretches. Listen, I know my Californian and my New York friends are conditioned to expect rocket ship appreciation the second they sign on the dotted line. But Dallas plays at a slower, smarter pace right now. The savvy buyers, they aren't sitting out. They're structuring deals to survive today's rates and win tomorrow's equity, not chasing a one-year lottery ticket. All right, so if you've got kids, the next mistake can blow up your family routine faster than a Monday morning alarm. And that's gonna be these school boundaries, right? Around Dallas and the burbs, the lines get redrawn like a kindergarten art project because growth here is on a rocket fuel. And it catches a lot of buyers flat-footed all the time. Case in point, right? Capel ISD recently rezoned hundreds of students, guys. Some shuffled to Wilson Elementary, others to Austin. Then the shifted programs hit even more families, guys. And that's just one example in a 3-year stretch that's been especially wild in North Dallas. Frisco, Plano, Prosper, Salina, everybody's playing musical chairs as the new schools open and the neighborhoods feel. And look, when those zones shift, home values can take a 5 to 10% haircut literally overnight, while your carpool, commute, and your kid's best friend network all get thrown in the blender. But for you, if you want to dodge that chaos, guy, buy well inside the attendance map, right? Not dangling on the edge where the lines love to move. In Prosper, you might actually be zoned for Frisco or Salina ISD today. But when that 4th high school opens, all these border homes can get reassigned before you finish hanging curtains. And please don't rely on the rumor or the listing blurbs, guys. Call the district directly before you write the offer and ask point blank about planned rezoning. They often really know what's coming, but they just won't lead with it unless you do. All right, if you're moving here from out of state, this next one can have you living out of suitcases and negotiating with your air mattress like it pays rent. Dallas-Fort Worth isn't just big, it's over 9,000 square miles of construction cones, looping highways, and neighborhoods that multiply when you blink your eye. So no, you can't just wing it and hope the logistics ferry shows up out of nowhere. The peak moving season from May through September is a full contact sport out here. All our moving companies, they book out months in advance, guys. Prices jump 20 to 30%, and you're elbowing every other family trying to land before the school starts. And that's how people end up in a timing purgatory, right? Their house is sold, the new place hasn't closed yet, and they're living out of storage and asking their in-laws for the Wi-Fi password. And then there's the HOA spikes nobody mentions until that truck is idling at the gate. You know, some communities only allow weekday move-ins. Some ban big rigs due to access. Others cap your hours like you're sneaking into a club. I mean, miss the rules and you're racking up delays, fees, or both at the same time. But the great thing about it is the cure is boring and beautiful. You want to start shopping Dallas 3 to 4 months before you need the keys. You fly in for a long weekend to tour the neighborhoods with your own eyeballs. You get pre-approved with a local lender who actually understands our contracts and our timelines. You list your home with a plan with one of our agents out there in your area. And if you can, schedule the move-in for the off-season, right? October through April, when rates are, a little bit more saner and movers act like humans again, you kind of want to do it that way, and you'll upgrade from the suitcase shovel to smooth landing without sacrificing your sanity or your sofa. All right, well, here's the twist that trips up a lot of out-of-state binge watchers and real estate YouTubers, right? Waiting for that perfect rate can cost you more than just time. Look, I literally just had this conversation with the California buyer of ours who had been camped on the sidelines for months, right? They were convinced the rates were going to drop and the market will magically correct itself. Yeah, it was a cute theory while I was listening to it, but then you remember that you're not the only one waiting on the sidelines right now. Listen, guys, this ain't some sales situation I keep hearing all over YouTube, guys. When rates eases, everybody piles back in and prices pop, and suddenly we're reliving the multiple offer rodeo from 2 years ago. Now, I don't think it's going to necessarily get that crazy that fast, but if you wait too long, you're going to be seeing these price increases. I mean, do the math. On a $500,000 home with 20% down, today's 6.5% interest rate, that lands you around $3,500 a month. If you wait a year for that beautiful 5.5% rate, then you're probably going to get a 5% price bump on the property, right? And that's when the competition is coming rolling. The only difference is you're going to be paying $3,300 to $3,400 on a $525,000 home. Crazy. A whopping $150 in savings after forfeiting a year of appreciation and all the tax benefits. Meanwhile, right now, you actually have more leverage, guys. Inventory's up. Sellers and builders are dealing, and the concessions are back on the menu. Closing costs, rate buy downs, the works, right? I just locked in a client at a 3.99% 30-year fixed, and they got all their closing costs paid. And that's why the smart buyers aren't praying to the Fed, guys. They're structuring the payment. You can get a 2-1 buy down or even a 3-2-1 buy down. That could take you from a 6.5 market rate and drop you in year 1 to the mid-4s. Year 2 is going to be over in the mid-5s, and by year 3, you're either comfortable where you are or you've refinanced to the rates that are better at that time. You guys remember 2022 when those 3% loans turned open houses into cage matches and the bids ran up 50 to 100K over asking over here in Dallas? Listen, if we sniff anything with the 4, which I doubt, but I can definitely tell you we're going to be in the 5s probably next year. Again, it's all speculation, but everything that they're doing points to that being true, and that's when demand is going to light up like the State Fair in Midway. So ask yourself a question. Would you rather overpay in a frenzy later or negotiate like a boss now? Fair price, fat concessions, rate buy downs, and lock a payment that starts with a 5 while everyone else is still waiting for that perfect moment. Listen, I know which play future you is high-fiving. But next, let's talk about these little mistakes that look harmless on paper, but they decide whether you're writing love letters to Dallas or you're hate posting on the Nextdoor app.
So I'm super excited to announce we just released our Reload Ready bundle. This is a bundle that gives you our knowledge of the Metroplex, the best areas, best food spots, best schools, and overall what to expect. And lastly, we're going to give you access to our preferred property list. This is when builders have inventory that they need to move. They call and give us first dibs. These are going to be those discounted properties you won't find on Realtor or Zillow.com. So if you want exclusive access, click the link below, become a part of our inner circle where we say less and pay less. Now, back to the video you were watching.
All right, so Frisco looks great on the brochure. Well, so does Bishop Arch for that matter, and so does everywhere else at Golden Hour. The question really is, what does your Tuesday look like? Schools, commute, after work routine, that weekend rhythm? You want to choose based on the life you actually live, not the one the internet staged for you. You don't want to pick a suburb because the internet told you it was cute, trendy, or had one photogenic taco spot, right? The happiest Dallas homeowners don't chase the hype, guys. They plan around where they work, where their kids go to school, what their weekends are going to look like when the cameras are off. If your daily routine doesn't fit the neighborhood, that cool address turns into a chore list. And then 12 to 18 months later, you're texting me about selling and praying you break even. Dallas isn't a vibe you rent for Instagram, right? It's a life you live every single day. All right, so the next reality check, guys, your budget is more than the mortgage plus the taxes. Listen, our summers are spicy. Last year, we whacked up dozens of 100+ days, guys. Your AC will run like it's training for a marathon. Translation, prepare yourself for the higher energy costs in the summertime, right? Yeah, your sprinklers, they're gonna keep your yard green, but your water water bill is gonna want a word. Listen, HOAs here range from, no biggie to we're funding a space program. So yes, you definitely want to read the rules and the do's with both eyes open. And insurance matters here too, right? Hell shows up like an uninvited cousin, guys. So set deductibles you can actually live with. And please don't judge Dallas by the spring or the fall visits, guys, when the weather is flirting with perfection. Come back in July, step outside at 2 o'clock and tell me you don't suddenly love indoor hobbies. The bottom line is, I've lived here for 10 years and I still adore this city, right? The people, the food, the energy, the whole Dallas thing. But the difference between thriving and regretting is planning like a local and not like a tourist. Listen, that model home is like a first date, guys. It's got great lighting, perfect playlist, it smells like fresh cookies, but the lot, that's the marriage. Listen, the block you live on decides your daily soundtrack and your long-term value, guys. Whether the afternoon sun is baking your living room, how the school pickup line clogs your street, whether your Saturday mornings include bird songs or brake squeals. In Dallas, guys, micro locations is a sport. Listen, a stunning plan next to a future connector road off 380 feels much different than the same plan tucked 2 streets in. A cul-de-sac off a Coy Road hits different than a corner lot in Preston. And yeah, you might be team new construction, but if the flight path from Love Field traces a dotted line over your roof line, or the dart horn says hello at 6:07 a.m., you'll feel it daily. But here's how you play this thing like a local. Walk the lot and the surrounding streets at multiple times of the day. 7:30 a.m. for the school traffic, 5:30 p.m. for the commute chaos, and a late Friday to catch the backyard noise and the patio vibes. Park, sit, and listen. You want to look for those power lines, those substations, the drainage swells, those retention pods, the transformer boxes, right? And you want to keep an eye out for all those mysterious stakes in the road that mean a future phase is coming, and that means months of construction dust. You want to check where the sun is setting, right? West facing in August means that it's going to be a test for your AC and your patience. You want to study the curb cuts and the stop signs. Are you the neighborhood's unofficial cut through at school hours, right? You got to check all these things, guys. You want to ask where the amenities actually sit, right? Look, living across from the pool sounds like fun until the summer cannonballs meet your comfort calls. And zoomed out, what's the plan across the whole subdivision? Yeah, a future retail pad can be awesome or become the place where the delivery trucks idle at dawn. Listen, builders build gorgeous homes, but the blocks make or break the lifestyles and the resale. 2 identity floor plans can be evaluated wildly differently depending on the traffic patterns, the sight lines, and what's breaking ground next year. So before you fall for the shiplap, let's pressure test the location as well. You want to look at the future phases, overlay flight paths, and the major road projects. You want to peek at the city plans and also give you the Sunday game day version of the area. Listen, let's make a deal. You bring the address and I'll bring the noise map, the sun angles, and the straight talk. Listen, we're not just being pretty, we're buying peace, convenience, and the extra strategy that actually exits well. You gotta walk it, you gotta drive it, you gotta sit there at 5:30 p.m. and listen. Then we'll make the smartest move for you and your family. And if you're listening to all this, guys, you're thinking, yeah, I think it's time that I really want to make this move. It's probably time that we have a conversation. But if you're not quite there yet and you're thinking about other areas that you want to check out, then we create a whole playlist that you can binge watch and you can check those out right there.